yeah. So anyways, I got the results really quickly, which is what I love about this whole process. And
Yeah.
girl, I was frustrated. I literally got the results right before I was supposed to be on set and start shooting, and I was pissed.
Mm.
I don't know
Okay.
if you can
You got
see
it.
in my account, but my numbers didn't move all that much, and I felt like I was doing a lot of work, and the way my numbers were reflected said otherwise.
Yeah.
But here's the thing is like I'm not a doctor. I have some skills in interpreting lab results, but not nearly as much as a physician or somebody who has that specialty. And when I spoke with my life force physician, I got a new person, by the way. She's absolutely lovely. She
Yeah.
immediately was so positive and was like, listen, you are the poster child for life force, just so you know. These numbers are spectacular. Yes, we can work on this a little bit and this a little bit, but
Yeah.
honestly, like you're doing phenomenally well. You don't really need to change that much.
Yeah.
That attitude was exactly what I needed. I needed somebody to
It's
just
so
help.
important because it can be scary when you get your biomarkers back and you're thinking, I'm doing amazing. Like I exercise consistently. I eat well. I sleep well. My stress levels are low. Like you're like I'm doing all these things because I'm even talking from experience. And then you get your blood work, and it can be frustrating if the numbers are not reflecting what you feel they should be showing.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the realness, and I think that it's important that we understand if you know, because we know ourselves the best. If you know that you are doing your absolute best, you are there's always areas of opportunity for all of us, but I think if you know that you're doing things well, these numbers, yes, we can do some work to improve them, but it's not for us to get stuck and frustrated and feel bad about where we are. We have to appreciate where we are and what we're doing already.
Or
Um,
make up stories about what we think they mean.
mm, yes. And that's, please don't Google because I feel
You
like
know, I did.
I know you have, you'll Google, like, what does this mean? You could have cancer. Oh my gosh, you could have all kinds of crazy situations when you start Google searching. I've done it too. Like,
I think we all have.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I'm so glad. So what do you feel once you had your telehealth call and you talked to your clinician and y'all kind of went through the biomarkers? What do you feel is really top of mind for you since learning more about your biomarkers?
Well, the big thing I was trying to work on was dropping my cholesterol, in particular my bad cholesterol, that LDL, the triglycerides. And when
Yeah.
those numbers didn't budge all that much, I was definitely disappointed.
Mhm.
Um, so I decided to do something very, very different. Like my total cholesterol was 215,
Mhm.
and my LDL actually went up to 128. And I was like, are you kidding me? Are you
Mhm.
kidding me? My HDL is high at 80. And I actually overdid it with the vitamin D. So I went from extreme low to just right outside of optimal into a little bit too high. But
Yeah.
before I even dwell on any of this, I want to say I had the opportunity to get my blood work done through another hospital 2 weeks later. So I
Yeah.
decided to be a guinea pig and change my diet completely, eat mostly vegetables, make my plate half vegetables, eat a lot of fruit, and just incorporate a lot more plants into my diet.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks, I dropped my overall cholesterol to 173.
Wow.
That's like a 40-point difference. That's more than 40 points if I'm doing the math correct. No, it's
Yeah.
just about 40. And I dropped my triglycerides from, oh goodness, Mm, I don't know, whatever I just said, down to 46. And I
Mhm.
kept my HDL high. So literally in 2 weeks, I'm getting the best cholesterol results I've ever gotten, I would say in the last 20 years.
Yeah. And that's a testament to the power of nutrition. And not only that, but finding what works for you, finding what
Yes.
for you. And sometimes it takes an experiment. And a lot of people don't want to go through that phase of experimenting or being a guinea pig. But sometimes it's absolutely necessary to experiment with different foods, find out what's triggering higher cholesterol, what might be triggering glucose spikes for some people, because everybody's not created equal in terms of food. Like there's specific foods that really can cause your biomarkers to spike. That
Yes. And
maybe,
every body is different, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Like the way that me eating rice could affect my blood sugar levels much differently from yours.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I misspoke. So my LDL was 128. And then in 2 weeks, I got it down to 91. And then, so total
Okay.
cholesterol was 215. And then in 2 weeks, I got it down to 173. I'm impressed with myself
That's very, very good. In 2 weeks.
in 2 weeks. And so I'm sharing that because I feel like sometimes people get discouraged. They're like, oh my God, I have to change this and I got to work on this for like so long. And it's like, no, actually, you don't. This
Yeah.
can happen in the body pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of doing it. I will say that you inspired me on two things: incorporating some apple cider vinegar into my high carb meals. Like when I was going to have a starchy meal, I would do a little bit of apple cider vinegar mixed with water and I'd sip on that. And then I've been walking a lot more. In fact, right before we met, I went on an hour-long walk.
Look at you.
I'm
I love it.
trying.
No, you're not trying, you're doing.
I'm doing it. And today I just feel really, really happy with that because I'll tell you for the last 6 months I was discouraged with my blood work. Even
Yes.
though it was really, really great, Life Force was telling me that it's amazing. I always want to do better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's important because to your point, we I do think believe in the power of grace. Like I think we have to give ourselves grace, but I also think there needs to be harmony when it comes to grit also. Like we have to dig in sometimes, even if everybody else is saying, but this is great, you're doing great. Okay, I appreciate that, but I want better for me. And so if I know I can do better, I'm going to do better. I think there's importance in digging in, doing the work, and finding out what works for you. And it's interesting with cholesterol that you kind of move more to plant-based and you saw cholesterol levels drop. I'll say this, I've seen a lot of people who are highly carnivore and their cholesterol is really high. I'm not somebody who's against the carnivore diet because I think there's some people it works well for them. And again, everybody is different. But for the most part, people who are on a very extreme, like they've been doing the carnivore diet, I'm talking about people who've done it for like 6 months plus. Sometimes there was even one gentleman who had been doing it for years, strictly carnivore. Cholesterol was high, 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 high. So I think that's where there needs to be a balance of animal proteins and plant-based. Um, One extreme to the next, to me, based on what I've seen from blood work, can be just that, very extreme, and can cause imbalances, in our blood work. So I think, again, though, at the end of the day, you have to kind of experiment a little bit because quite honestly, there could be somebody who does a carnivore diet and it works perfectly well for them. I do think the carnivore diet is really good for an elimination type of diet, if you have like gut issues or eczema or like a skin condition and you're trying to figure out which food is causing it, the carnivore diet is a great way to completely eliminate most foods and then slowly start incorporating other foods and discover, oh, this is what's causing this inflammation. I have seen some people have success with that. But, anyways, I appreciate that you've experimented and you've kind of honed in on what really works for you. That's really a huge testament to see your numbers drop in 2 weeks. To your point, it doesn't take long. It's about consistency and just doing it.
Yes. And, since then, my diet has changed again, and it has kind of gone back to eating more meat, but I'm more selective. Like I'm
Yeah.
eating more ground turkey, I'm eating more chicken, I'm eating a lot of shrimp, but I'm just making sure that I'm eating more vegetables and I'm trying to have vegetables with every single meal. Whereas
Yeah.
before, sometimes vegetables weren't there. And it's because I get tired of being bloated. And it seems like sometimes I just get tired of trying to figure out which vegetables are
Yeah.
making me bloated and which ones aren't. And so I just kind of, it's not great, but I just get rid of vegetables altogether sometimes
Yeah.
because I'm tired of being bloated.
Right. That I hear you. So now that you've incorporated more plant-based or more vegetables, do you feel like you're still having the same challenge with the bloating?
No,
Has
because I discovered that it's raw vegetables that are really making me bloated. When I eat cooked vegetables that are not cruciferous veggies, like the Brussels sprouts, the cauliflower, the broccoli, kale, that kind of stuff, if it's like green beans in particular, zucchini, squash, that kind of stuff, cooked,
Yep.
any vegetable cooked is always better than it raw for
Mm,
me.
yes. I love that. Listen, that's a good, I'm just like, I just love that you really dig in like that and you're figuring you out. And listen, we're in our 40s. And sometimes, well, I think if people, like I always say in my videos, I don't know why I did that, but in my videos, if you're young and you're watching this, take care of your body now and it will take
Yes.
care of you older. Because I feel like when you're young, if you feel bloating or any of these symptoms and you start digging in like you have done to discover what is the cause of this? Like, let me jot down when I feel like this, and let me jot down when I don't feel like this. There's so many discoveries from us just investigating in our own food habits and the way we respond to different foods. Um, but sometimes it takes a little bit, and that's okay. But you've discovered that's huge. Because I
It's
know when we
a
first talked, that was a big thing, like the bloating.
Yeah, when we first started talking, I think it was probably like 9 months ago or something like that. That was a
Yeah.
huge thing for me. But it existed even before we started meeting. I had
Yeah.
been dealing with this on and off. Honestly, I remember being bloated as a kid. I remember always having like this super skinny body, super lean, but like bloated belly. And for me, my whole life, that was normal. And I've been tested for everything under the sun, celiac and everything else. And nope, I don't have any of that stuff. It's
Yeah.
just that my stomach is really, really sensitive to certain foods. And so I've got to be mindful of that. And, it's a struggle trying to figure out what you're sensitive to. Sometimes you just want to relax and not and just eat what you want.
Yep. I know.
Like today's Halloween. Am I going to have dark chocolate? Yeah. Am I going
Right.
to have dark chocolate covered in macadamia nuts? Yeah. Am I going to have a little white chocolate? Yeah. I brought it back from Kauai. I went to a chocolate tasting there, and it's like I learned the story of how the chocolate was made, and I was so in love. It's so romantic how this chocolate was made. It's like
Yeah.
such a beautiful natural process. It's the way chocolate was supposed to be made.
Mm.
And so that kind of food, even though it's sugar and it's bad, no, I will have it in moderation and
Yep.
I will enjoy every single bite. Or like some of the dark chocolate, you don't bite it, you just kind of let it melt on your palate. Even that is just like, doesn't that sound great?
Yes, I love dark chocolate, first of all. And I love that you said that because I feel like I've come across a lot of people who indulge mindlessly, and then after they feel so bad. They're like, "Oh God, I feel so bad. I can't believe I did that." And I don't want people to feel bad about enjoying food. I think, like you said, it's about moderation. It's about being mindful. Like I'm mindfully and intentionally gonna have dark chocolate today,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's fine. And I think when people restrict themselves, there's something about restriction that our brain just does not like. It's like, no, you're not. You say you're not gonna have, yes, you are. Go get it right now. It's like your brain fight, it's like a battle.
Oh, there's
um,
two sides to our brain.
oh yeah. Yeah. So I just don't think restriction is the answer at all. I think it's about enjoying having treats, but being very mindful about it, um, and making a choice. Like today, most people are going to eat. Don't go crazy now. Like, y'all don't eat the whole bag of, your kids' candy or people's candy. Just enjoy mindfully. And I think that's totally fine. And
I
that's
know
the,
people who do that, who really good parents, great people, but they will destroy their kids' candy bag and they'll justify it with, it's just that one day and then I'm going to clean it up the next day. And the problem is it just kind of sets you up for repeating that type of behavior in the
yeah.
future because you've already got an excuse ready. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. The excuse is ready. It's okay. But not only that, it sets your body up for craving it more
Yeah.
because you've eaten so much of it. You've thrown off your blood sugar and now you want more of it. It's just what's going to happen. You're going to be craving sugar probably throughout the rest of the month and having a really hard time. Well, I don't want to say restricting, but having a hard time portion controlling or being moderate about sugar because you're going to be craving it like crazy. Um, So that's another thing to be thoughtful about when you are having some sweet treats, you
And
know?
you feel like crap physically because you got that sugar high, perhaps, but then you crashed, you plummeted, and then
Yeah.
you feel the guilt and all of the other negative emotions that come with binging because that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a roller coaster and I'm guilty of it. I've definitely done it, but I'm doing it less and less and less because I just understand how crappy it's going to feel right
Yeah.
after it's done.
Yes.
Yeah.